worshiping. Hello and welcome to the Ignite Youth Podcast here at Wainfleet BIC Church, where we discuss life through the lens of our Anabaptist roots. My name is Julie Adams, and I'm joined by our summer intern, Sierra Kiewit.
Yes.
Welcome back, Sierra. It's been a few weeks since you've been here. So, yeah, glad to have you back on our core values summer series.
Yeah,
I think that's what it's called. So throughout the summer on the Youth Podcast, we're going through the BIC core values, and are there 10 of them? Do you know?
There's 10, yeah.
I think so too. So that kind of fits really nicely with the summer. And we've gone through several, and we've landed today on worshiping God.
Mm-hmm. I think this is number 7.
That sounds right to me.
I think last week we said it was 6. So whether that's right or wrong, I'm going with 7. Well, I started just with like the little description that's on the BIC website.
Yeah.
Which just says, we value heartfelt worship that is God-honoring, spirit-directed, and life-changing. I feel like that's so fun. I love that.
It is, yeah.
Anything that says life-changing, I'm like, ooh, that's going to be good.
Sign
it's going to
me
be
up.
big.
Yeah.
I think when I first read that, or even in the last few years, when people mention worship, I think usually we assume we're talking about singing.
Singing, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And it's like, I remember we did I don't know if it was a series or like a one-part thing, but we talked about worship here, and that was like one of the first times I fully grasped that worship wasn't just singing.
Yes, we did a whole series on it.
Okay,
it was
yeah.
several weeks long, and we talked about worshiping through like music and like just different like other actions,
Yeah.
like giving. I know we talked about.
Yes.
I'm trying to remember the other ones, like serving, other serving type
Yeah.
things
And
as
it's-
worship.
Yeah, like everything we do can be worship for God. We usually start with singing. So it's so much fun for me to like dive further into that and notice that it's not just that.
Which is interesting because you are quite, in my opinion, are quite like connected to music.
I am incredibly,
You're gifted. You're a gifted singer. And do you play instruments? Yes, you do.
kind of. I don't really play so much anymore, but.
Okay, but you're musical in general.
Yeah.
Far more musical than I.
Let's find out, let's test
Let's
that
not
theory.
and say we did. Let's take my word for it.
I like definitions because like I was the kid that anytime you gave me a word that I didn't know, I was not going to ask my teacher for the 2-word definition. I'm like, I'm a Webster, Google it.
Yeah.
I like the
love
Webster
that.
definition. So when I Googled worship, just for the straight up definition, it said worship by definition is the feeling or showing of reverence and adoration for a deity.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, well, let's take that one step further. What does
Yeah.
the Bible say? Because we kind of like the Bible up in here.
We do.
And I really love how Romans 12:1 says it, where it just says, therefore I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship.
Huh.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
I think that verse is so powerful, especially when it says to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice.
So worship is a sacrifice?
Kind of. Like,
Okay.
God proceeded to send his son to die as a sacrifice for our sins.
Yes.
And our only way to basically thank him is to worship him with our living sacrifice. And I just love to see that comparison. Like, he died for
Yeah.
us, so we're living for him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we get to live in worship, in adoration for him because he was able to do that.
Yeah.
I just think that's so cool.
That is very cool.
And if we go into, now, when we think of worship, I know people often make comments about like people my age and Gen Z. And in our society, we tend to worship other things that aren't necessarily God, like phones, celebrities, things like that. But even in the Bible, they did that. Not necessarily phones, I mean, I'm assuming. Yeah. But things like golden statues. There was like a golden cow, I think, at some point, right? Like,
there was.
which is, that's a choice, but it works. And like, I can't even understand how that makes sense, because God literally sent his son to die. Like, if we run it back to the living sacrifice thing, why would we choose to worship our phone when there is a man who literally sent his son to die for us?
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
Well, There are a few reasons for that, probably.
But I don't want to go there.
Okay.
Now,
Come back next week.
yes. No.
Don't worry, it's Wes next week.
Oh,
so yeah,
perfect,
come back
perfect.
next week.
Go for it. Yeah. When I was looking into like the BIC value side of it, like the second, well, no, actually the entire thing of their little blurb says God honoring, spirit directed, and life changing. And I was like, okay, tell me more.
Yeah.
So I got Wes to get me a book that was somewhere in his office. I don't really know where it came from, but it's there now. And it goes far more in depth on each of the core values. And it's got
Which book was it? Do you remember?
It was like BIC. It was
The
literally
Handbook
called,
of Faith and Life?
It might be. It was like BIC core values. I don't know. That's what the front said.
Pretty sure it's the Handbook of Faith
It might
and
be,
Life.
probably.
If you're looking for that book as well, I believe it's in the church library, or
There you
whatever
go.
book that you're talking about, it's in the church library.
Perfect.
Or
There we
ask
are.
Wes.
Yeah, he might
He will
know.
have it. He does have it.
He should have it. And it really goes a lot more in depth than just that one word sentence. So I loved like reading into that. I think from what I've previously said, we've got the who, we're worshiping God.
Yep.
We've got the why, because he died for us, so we get to be the living sacrifice.
Yep.
But how?
Yes.
How is really the question that I was asking when I went into that book. And it started by talking about how there's two parts of worship. There's an attitude, which is like we're in reverence, awe, and respect, as well as actions, which could be, well, they gave some examples of like, could be bowing, could be praising, could be serving, like we previously mentioned. And just it went so heavily into how worship starts with God, not with ourselves, which I think can be something we often struggle with in this day and age. Especially if we go into the music side of it. I know I've seen people get so carried away, and I've probably done it too, where you get so carried away in the music you're singing and how you sound and hitting those high notes or getting those cool riffs, and you kind of lose sight of the overall purpose, which is, we're focusing on God, not on how we sound or how good we look.
Interesting. I know I don't sound good, so maybe that's why I don't. Well, I'm just being honest here.
Sometimes I have been in situations where you hear people who are not necessarily on key, but we just say they're making a joyful noise.
Yes,
It's not necessarily an on pitch noise, but it's a joyful noise, and that's good enough. Like God does not care if you're on pitch.
Good. That is a relief to hear today.
And then going into those three things, the God honoring, spirit led, life changing, they had like little sections on those that I want to get into too.
Well, I was more stuck back on the attitude that you talked about. What did it say about your attitude?
Reverence, awe, and respect. Like, when I think about God, sometimes I have a hard time like fully comprehending that.
Well, you should, because your
like-
mind is just human, right? Earthly mind.
Dang it.
I know.
Just a human.
It's okay, hang in there.
But like, if you run it back to everything he did, or like the more I learn about God, the more I read my Bible, the more I go to church and learn, the more I'm like, oh my goodness, you are that good.
Yeah.
Like, God is that awesome. And that's where that awe, that respect, that reverence comes from. Because I'm like, oh my goodness, I could never do that.
No.
Only he could.
Yeah.
Like, even when I was younger and trying to comprehend the idea of like Jesus being perfect, I was like, well, I feel like I sin like every 2 seconds. Like, not necessarily on purpose, but like, I cannot imagine being perfect. And
no.
he was purely perfect, like without fault at all. So why wouldn't I have awe and respect and be in reverence to him?
Yeah, for sure.
It's just, it's such a cool concept. And I feel like as much as sometimes my attitudes toward God like could be frustrated, I'm like, what are you doing?
Yep.
At the same time, the only reason I'm like, what are you doing is because I'm like, well, you could do it. Because he's that powerful. So I should be respecting him. I should be in awe of him.
Yeah.
And it all just comes right back there.
All right. Enlighten us on the next three.
Yeah. So it starts with God honoring, which is, I mean, literally what we've been saying.
Yes.
But like, it went into how God has invited us first to come and worship him because we can admit that we're not enough alone and that we need him. And, you know, worship's not, like we said, about the big thing, the big action, the showy, whatever.
Yep.
But it's like the integrity of us engaging in a relationship with God and engaging in that awe or showing respect to him as we worship him
Consistently, maybe that's what I'm hearing under the surface, is like a consistency with it too.
Yeah. And, you know, whatever our worship is, it can be worship as long as it's like that. Like there's no box of it has to be singing or it has to be serving. It's like you can worship God in so many different ways. And I've been learning more and more about that in my life. When I was in Norway with one of my friends, she's an incredibly gifted like visual artist, which is certainly not my gift. I cannot draw for the life of me, but she like, I would be sitting there and writing words and I'd look over 2 seconds later, she has this absolutely gorgeous watercolor painting. And she was not, I kicked something.
Okay. Wasn't
She
me,
was
so
not the biggest singer.
Yeah.
Which is where my area may have been. But she created this beautiful watercolor image of like Jesus washing someone's feet.
That's lovely.
And like wrote a Bible verse on it and was able to share that with people. And that was like one of her methods of worshiping God.
Yeah.
And it was so God honoring. And it was a way that I had never thought of. And I try to learn to do more things like that. And I'm trying to find more ways that I can worship God that aren't just singing to like build my abilities. But it's just, as long as you're being God honoring, it takes you out of that box of I have to do it this certain way. And I love that. Then we've got spirit led, which is more on like, when we talked about attitudes and actions, this one's definitely more on the action side.
Okay.
Which is when we've accepted God as our leader and we're being spirit led, we can worship however we want. Yeah. Because we're being spirit led. And if God is, like the Holy Spirit is in us, showing us how to do this, then anything can be your worship. Like even those mundane tasks can be worship if you're praising God through it. Yeah. Like I find it so funny to watch people when we're singing, when some people are, you know, like when I think of praise, some people are up in the front mosh pitting like Derek Shirk, you know, like running around doing this and it's crazy. And other people, you see them find it easier, not easier, but more powerful when they're down on their knees. Yep. Or they're like
closing their eyes
out with their eyes shut. Yeah. And they're being called in very different ways, but they're being led by the Spirit. And there's no way that's better than another, which I think is another concept we sometimes don't get. If I'm not standing here with my hands out like this and my eyes aren't shut, it doesn't make my worship any less powerful. And it doesn't make my worship more powerful to be up and jumping and have my hands up. Yeah. Everybody worships differently, and at different times we feel spirit led to worship differently. And in 1 Samuel 16:7, it says, humans look on the outward appearance, but the Lord looks on the heart. Which is like that in a nutshell. Yes. We may see people worshiping in different ways, but God is just looking at their heart. And he's like, wow, you're worshiping and you're worshiping. He's not like, oh, you've got your hands up and you don't. He's like, wow, you guys are worshiping. Like, yeah. If we're honoring God and the presence of his Spirit is the reality in our hearts, then it's beautiful Spirit-led worship. Yeah. And we have our last one, which is life-changing. Through worship, we can discover more of who God is and build our relationship with him. And worship is like it's like a connection between God's Spirit meeting with us and our own spirit. Okay. And it's almost like we kind of fuse, we kind of connect as we get to build that relationship that we have with him. And I mean, you can't meet with the Spirit of God and not be changed. No. Like, it'd be like, I mean, you see it in the Bible when people witness miracles. Usually that's enough to get them. Yeah. But there's one, I can't put my finger on it, but there's one time where someone sees it. It's the guy who's like the burning bush, and then he turns a stick into a snake, and then it's the water.
Moses.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy.
just like a really well-known guy.
Have you heard of him, Sierra? Just kidding.
Maybe. And he's like, well, maybe try one more time. But each time it like is changing. It's changing. And he's like, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Until he just can't help but believe.
Yeah.
So every time that our spirit meets with God's spirit, we're changed, which is why our worship is life changing. Which I think it's so cool.
Yeah.
And our worship, it needs some substance.
Yeah.
Which is like we're focusing on God and we're faithful to what's true about God. And I think sometimes it's harder to worship when we're not feeling happy or when we're frustrated with God, but that's when we need it most, which is of course the best part. It's always that little catch-22. Like I don't actually want to do that right now, but that's exactly what would be best for me.
That feels like the attitude part of it, and how we maybe need to change our attitude.
Yeah. And when we meet with God and we go into this, wrong paper, spirit-led, God-honoring worship, it changes our life. It'll change our attitudes. It's not necessarily going to change the circumstance we're in.
No.
But it can definitely change the attitude we have going into that. When I'm anxious, sometimes I like to put on worship music. Yep. And when I get really connected in with that, I notice my anxiety goes way down.
Yeah, for sure.
It doesn't fix the situation I'm in, but it helps me be able to handle it better because of God.
Yeah.
Worship is an attitude that we get to embrace individually and corporately, like literally when we're singing.
Together, yeah. Or serving together.
Yeah.
And like during some of our other events, or when you're in Kids Corner, or when you're in the nursery, or when you're doing live stream.
Join the team. I think I've heard people in the past say like, oh, I don't want to serve on this team because I don't want to leave the worship. And I'm like, well, you're worshiping it just in a different way. And I think last week Wes was talking on serving.
Yes.
Which is
serving compassionately.
Worshiping.
Yeah.
Like you just said.
Yeah.
It's all connected. Whether you're in the live stream booth, you're downstairs with the tiny humans, as I like to call them, you are serving God. You're worshiping God through that. If maybe you're the little ones, you're teaching a Bible story, you're singing songs, you're bringing other people into worship with God. And it all works. It's not this one singular thing you can do. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
And then I've got one little question that you can kind of take home with you, which is, what form of worship allows you to connect with God best? I think that's really important to find and just to kind of have in your back pocket, especially like when I'm anxious. I always look back to worship music because that's how I can connect to God most. And it's so helpful to know that thing. So when I'm struggling, it's just that one thing I can always count on. When life's difficult, when everything's going wrong, I know I can always count on that. And that's how I can find God and connect with him. And when you start doing that, you get to see so many other things. And I find myself worshiping God further when I see other people doing it.
Yes.
I was just at camp 4, 5, 6 days ago, something like that. And I was cabin leading during Summit, and we had this huge mosh pit type thing on our last session Friday night. And it is so beautiful to see everyone worshiping together.
Yeah.
And lots of people aren't singing on key, and it makes no difference. Some people are jumping, some people are sitting. It makes no difference. Everyone is worshiping, and it is so beautiful. And I got to go stand at the back and just take a little video, a little snippet it's just so beautiful. I can look back on that and see that and be like, oh my goodness. Like, we were all worshiping God in different ways, and it was so powerful and it was so beautiful. And if you can find that for yourself, it makes a huge difference in your life.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you want to share what it is for you, maybe?
Well, I often, the same as you, will listen to worship music. I find it harder to be like frustrated or angry when there's worship music playing, because it feels like, definitely, I will say I do that too. Also, I love to read. So I do love to, and I find my days go better when I do take the time to, and I often do, but There are some mornings when it gets away from you, but when I sit down and I spend a few minutes reading a devotion or my Bible, so there you go.
Yeah, I would challenge you, whoever you is, to this week or right now to think about what form of worship lets you connect with God the easiest, and to just keep that in mind, to try to go further into that, to try to do it more often. Like you said, it doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to do it every single day. You're not gonna lose out on it because I lost my streak of worshiping God in this way.
It's not Duolingo.
It's not Duolingo. You've got many second chances. God does not have a limit. And it's just so powerful when you can learn that in your own life.
Yeah. Nice. Thank you, Sierra, very much. That was a great reminder and a great word. Do you mind sharing your email address in case anyone wants to get in touch with you?
It's SKIEV, part of my last name, 321@gmail.com.
Awesome. Thank you. No, my email address is julie@waynefleetbic.com. And thank you for tuning in today. And we look forward to continuing this series next week. Yes. Have a great week.
Bye.
Bye.